There comes a sharp, silent moment when you realize fear has been quietly shaping your entire life. Not in grand, dramatic ways, but in the small, unnoticed choices. The job you never pursued, the truth you left unspoken, the dream you set aside because someone convinced you it was too much and you believed them. Fear disguises itself as logic, as safety, as maturity. But let's be honest, most of what we fear isn't real. It's a script playing in our minds, written by past pain, fueled by anxiety, and utterly disconnected from reality. The Stoics saw this with brutal clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Read that again. That's the key. We're not just managing fear, we're dismantling it at its roots. Stripping away false beliefs and invisible chains. By the end of this, you won't just see fear differently, you'll see yourself differently. Ever notice how the mind clings tightest just before something slips away? We crave permanence in careers, relationships, even emotions, as if certainty were oxygen. But life doesn't operate on our schedule. Your body, circumstances, even your sense of self are in constant flux. The harder you try to freeze them, the faster they slip through your fingers. Fear thrives on the illusion that things should stay the same. Change isn't the enemy, resistance to it is. We panic at endings, mourn what was, dread the unknown. But here's the truth. The more you fight change, the more you suffer. The Stoics called this resistance self-torture. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly, loss is nothing but change, and change is nature's delight. Nature doesn't fear winter. It knows spring will come. Why should we be any different? Every heartbreak you thought would destroy you didn't. Every failure you believed would define you faded. Pain doesn't last, neither does joy. It's not a flaw, it's freedom. Carl Jung said, "What you resist persists. The more you fight life's impermanence, the deeper fear digs in." But when you release the need for control, fear loosens its grip. You don't become indifferent, you become wise. Step outside, watch the seasons shift. Notice how your skin renews itself without your command. Listen to how your thoughts evolve from dawn to dusk. Everything moves, even your fears. They're not fixed, they come and go like weather. No need to build shelters against them. Stand firm and let them pass. Heraclitus, the ancient philosopher, said, "No man steps in the same river twice." You're not the same person you were yesterday. It's not a threat. It's an invitation to evolve. Next time fear paralyzes you, pause, breathe. Remember, the tightness in your chest is temporary. The racing thoughts aren't permanent. You're not trapped, you're in motion. And motion is where strength lives. Fear wears countless disguises. I'm not ready. What if I fail? They'll laugh at me. Peel back the layers and you'll find it's just a thought. A sentence in your mind, masquerading as truth. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus taught it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them. Read that again. Most fear isn't some external monster, it's your imagination running wild. Your brain can't distinguish between a real threat and a vividly imagined one. That's why your palms sweat before a job interview as if you're being hunted, or your stomach knots at the thought of starting something new. The mind creates the scenario and the body reacts as if it's real. Carl Jung observed, who avoid facing their own soul. Fear often mirrors our unresolved wounds, the fragile parts we'd rather ignore. So how do you break free? Don't argue with fear. Observe it. Name it. There's that thought again. The one where I'm a failure. Interesting. You don't have to believe it. Just see it for what it is. Mental noise. Plato warned, we can forgive a child afraid of the dark. The real tragedy is men afraid of the light. Fear rejects possibility, growth, movement. Most of us aren't afraid of failing. We're afraid of succeeding. And D, not recognizing who we'll become. When fear whispers, stay small, respond. You're just a thought. I decide what happens next. You're not your thoughts. You're the thinker. Fear may knock, but you don't have to open the door. Come back to the present. Ever notice how panic often strikes when nothing is actually happening? No one's yelling, no disaster looms, you're just spiraling in your head. Fear loves time travel. It drags you into a future that doesn't exist or a past you can't change. It thrives on what if. And remember when? Stoicism teaches us to anchor in the now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. Right now, you're okay. You're breathing. You're safe. Fear can't survive in the present, needs the future or past to feed it. Next time fear grips you, pause. Feel your feet on the ground. Take 3 slow breaths. Name what you see, touch, hear. This isn't mysticism, it's neuroscience. Grounding pulls your brain out of panic and restores logic. Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. But the over-examined moment is unlivable. If you're constantly rehearsing disasters or reliving old pain, you're not living, you're surviving in a mental fog. Life happens in the present. Fear lives everywhere else. Come back, not once, not perfectly, but again and again. Choose now. That's where your power is. You're not broken. How often have you felt like the only one afraid, like no one else has it figured out while you're fumbling in the dark? That isolation is fear's cruelest trick. It convinces you your struggle is unique, that you're weak for feeling anxious, but it's a lie. The Stoics never promised a painless life. They built their philosophy on the truth that suffering is universal. Fear, grief, doubt, they're not failures. They're part of the terrain. Epictetus was born a slave. Marcus Aurelius ruled during the plague. Seneca wrote on resilience while exiled. None said, this is unfair. They said, this is life. Now what? Aristotle taught that courage is acting as if you already have it. Fear isn't weakness. It's the weight you lift to build strength. Carl Rogers wrote, what is most personal is most universal. That ache in your chest, millions feel it. That fear of not being enough, it echoes across generations. You're not broken, you're human. And being human means you'll hurt, doubt, and fear. But none of that makes you unworthy, it makes you real. Stoicism doesn't ask you to pretend you're okay, it asks you to recognize that suffering doesn't diminish you. Feel the fear and continue anyway. That's courage. L'ego cachon. We don't fear the unknown, we fear not controlling it. That's what keeps us up at night, the inability to dictate outcomes. We overthink, rehearse conversations, obsess over worst-case scenarios. Not to prepare, but to grasp at control in a world that refuses to obey. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The outside world will never bend to your will. People disappoint, plans collapse, bodies age. Clinging to control is the root of suffering. Letting go isn't surrender, it's redrawing the line between what's yours and what isn't. You can't control what others feel, but you can control how you show up. You can't guarantee success, but you can commit to effort. Carl Jung said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. Letting go redirects power inward. You stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable and focus on what you can shape. Your attitude, actions, resilience. Ironically, the less you grasp for control, the more influence you gain. Calm attracts trust. Creativity flourishes when the mind isn't locked in survival mode. Fear can't touch you when you stop handing your peace to things you've never controlled. Be patient with yourself. Growth takes time, sounds trite until you're knee-deep in fear, desperate for change. But real transformation is slow, uneven, often invisible. Fear thrives in urgency. You're behind. You're running out of time. But that voice isn't wisdom, it's noise. The Stoics didn't demand perfection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, don't expect the impossible. Don't rage when you slip. Begin again. Yet we judge every setback as if it defines us. One mistake and we declare, see? I'll never change. Carl Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. That's the heart of it. We're afraid to face ours. Elves, flaws, fears, and all. But that's where growth begins. Aristotle taught that virtue is forged in habit, not overnight. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it, again and again. Patience isn't passivity. It's trusting the process, even when it's frustrating. It's allowing yourself to be a work in progress. Next time you're ready to quit, remember, the greatest breakthroughs often come right after that moment. Final thought, fear loses its power when you stop running and start listening. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're becoming. Stay steady, stay aware. The journey isn't about erasing fear. It's about walking through it, one step at a time, 7, fear is a compass, not a cage. Fear often feels like a prison, a force that locks us into small, safe corners of life. But what if it's actually a compass? A signal pointing toward what matters most. Think about it. We don't fear things we don't care about. The dread of public speaking is because you value connection. The anxiety before a big risk is because you care about growth. Fear isn't just an obstacle. It's a spotlight on what's meaningful. The Stoics didn't avoid fear. They engaged with it. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Instead of asking, "How do I escape this fear?" ask, "Why does this scare me?" The answer will often reveal what you truly value. Next time fear rises, don't retreat. Lean in. Ask, what is this fear protecting? Safety? What would happen if I move forward anyway? Is this fear keeping me safe or keeping me stuck? Fear as a compass doesn't mean ignoring it. It means using it to navigate toward what matters, not away from discomfort. 8. The only way out is through. There's a myth that courage means feeling no fear. That's not just unrealistic, it's dangerous. Real courage is feeling the fear and acting anyway. The ancient Greeks had a word for this, andreia. Not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it. Aristotle called courage the midpoint between recklessness and cowardice. It's not about charging blindly ahead or freezing in place. It's about stepping forward with clarity. Here's the hard truth. Avoidance strengthens fear. Every time you sidestep a difficult conversation, delay a bold move, or shrink from a challenge, you teach your brain that fear is justified. But each time you move through fear, you rewire your response. Try this. 1, name the fear. I'm afraid of failing in front of others. 2, ask the worst case question. If that happens, could I handle it? Spoiler, you could. 3, take the smallest step anyway. Action dismantles fear's illusion of power. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, imagining the worst to realize it's survivable. Seneca wrote, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." Fear needs your belief to survive. Fear is like a fire. It only grows if you feed it. Most fears thrive on 2 things, attention and belief. The more you engage with them, the more real they feel. Epictetus taught, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Fear isn't a fact. It's a story you're telling yourself. And like any story, you can rewrite it. When fear whispers, don't argue. Arguing gives it credibility. Don't ignore. Ignoring lets it fester. Observe. Interesting. My mind is predicting disaster again. Blink. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Fear loses its grip when you stop treating it as truth and start seeing it as noise. Fear and excitement feel the same. Choose your label. Here's a secret. The physiological symptoms of fear and excitement are nearly identical. Racing heart, quickened breath, heightened awareness. The only difference, the story you attach to them. Studies show that simply reframing nervousness as excitement improves performance. Instead of "I'm terrified," try "I'm energized." The body's response doesn't change, but your relationship to it does. The Stoics didn't deny emotions, they mastered their interpretation. Next time fear flares, 1, pause, notice the sensations without judgment. 2, relabel. Hey, this isn't fear, it's readiness. Channel the energy into action. Final words. Fear is not your enemy. Fear isn't here to stop you. It's to sharpen you. It's the friction that polishes courage, the resistance that builds resilience. The goal isn't to eliminate fear, but to outgrow its limitations. Remember, fear is temporary. Courage is a choice. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker. Growth happens in the discomfort zone. Stay steady, move forward. Fear may visit, but it doesn't have to stay. The path isn't about becoming fearless. It's about becoming free. It's 11. Fear grows in the shadows, bring it into the light. There's a peculiar thing about fear. The less we acknowledge it, the more power it gains. Like a shadow stretching in dim light, fear expands in silence. but speak it aloud, examine it under the brightness of reason, and it shrinks back to its true size. The Stoics practice precaution to one's own mind. Marcus Aurelius kept a journal not to dwell on fears, but to dissect them. He wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. When you name your fear clearly, I'm afraid I'll be rejected if I speak my truth. It loses its vagueness, and with it, some of its power." Try this. 1. Write down your fear in plain language. No metaphors, no exaggerations. 2. Ask, is this fear based on fact or fiction? Most are built on imagined future. Goes 3. Counter it with evidence. I've survived rejection before I can handle it again. Fear thrives in ambiguity. Clarity is its kryptonite. 12. Fear loves company. Choose your companions wisely. Fear is contagious. Spend time with people who constantly voice anxieties, and you'll find your own worries multiplying. Conversely, surround yourself with those who face challenges with calm determination, and some of that resilience will rub off. Epictetus warned, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. This isn't about avoiding honest struggles. It's about recognizing whose mindset either fuels your fears or helps you transcend them. Ask yourself, who in my life responds to difficulty with wisdom rather than panic? Whose conversations leave me feeling empowered rather than drained? Am I someone else's fear multiplier or clarity bringer? You can't eliminate fear from your life, but you can choose which voices get to speak into it. Fear isn't just a mental phenomenon, it's a full-body experience. A clenched jaw before a difficult conversation, a sinking stomach when avoiding a truth. These physical signals are ancient wisdom, your nervous system's way of saying, pay attention here. The Stoics didn't ignore these signals, they interpreted them. Seneca noted, the body's wisdom often outpaces the mind's reasoning. Modern science confirms this. Gut reactions often detect threats before conscious thought catches up. When fear manifests physically, 1. Pause and locate the sensation, chest, throat, hands. 2. Breathe into it, not to suppress but to understand. 3. Ask, what is my body trying to tell me? Often it's highlighting a boundary needing to be set, a truth needing to be spoken, a risk worth taking. Your body remembers what your mind trusts. Easy to forget. Trust its intelligence. 14. Fear can't breathe in gratitude. There's an alchemy that happens when fear meets gratitude. They can't occupy the same space at the same time. The part of your brain that focuses on appreciation physically can't simultaneously fixate on threat. Marcus Aurelius began his days with gratitude. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. This wasn't positive thinking, it was strategic mental conditioning. When fear feels overwhelming, 1. Name 3 ordinary things you're grateful for right now. Warmth, sight, a memory. 2. Feel the physical reality of those gifts, the chair supporting you, air filling your lungs. 3. Notice how fear's volume lowers when gratitude takes the stage. This isn't denial, it's perspective. Fear shrinks when placed against the vast backdrop of all that's still good and possible. The antidote to fear is not fearlessness, it's purpose. No one becomes fearless, but we can become purposeful, so aligned with what matters that fear becomes background noise rather than the main soundtrack. Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz, wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow." The Stoics would agree. Purpose transforms suffering into meaning. When you're clear on your why, fear of failure becomes secondary to the importance of the attempt. Ask yourself, what matters more to me than comfort? What would I regret not trying more than I'd fear failing at? Will his fear be serving something I care about? Fear will always whisper, what if you fail? Purpose responds, what if you don't try? The end of all these strategies lies one fundamental reality. Fear is not your opposite. It's your companion. An overzealous guard dog barking both real threats and shadows. You needn't silence it completely, just train it to stop mistaking every opportunity for danger. The Stoics didn't conquer fear, they conversed with it. They recognized its usefulness, alerting us to real dangers while refusing its tyranny, paralyzing us from meaningful action. So, when fear next visits, and it will, greet it like an old Stoic would. 1. Thank it for trying to protect you. 2. Yes, it. With clear-eyed reason. 3. Choose whether to heed its warning or transcend its limitation. Then step forward, not because you're unafraid, but because what lies beyond the fear matters more than the fear itself. That's how ordinary people become extraordinarily courageous, not by the absence of fear, but by its wise integration. Stay steady, keep going. The world needs more of your courage, not less of your fear. The final step, fear becomes fuel. The journey with fear never truly ends. It simply changes. What once paralyzed you becomes a familiar signal, a reminder that you're stepping beyond old limits. The Stoics didn't seek to erase fear. They sought to understand it, to let it sharpen rather than control them. So when you feel that familiar tightening in your chest, that whisper of doubt, remember, fear is not your enemy, it's a teacher. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's action in spite of it. Growth is not a straight line, it's a series of small, brave steps forward. You are not here to become fearless. You are here to become free, to move through life with clarity, purpose, and the quiet confidence of someone who knows that fear, when met with wisdom, becomes fuel for the fire of your potential. Now, take a breath. The next step is yours. Walk forward. The world needs what you have to offer.